Hello everyone and welcome to the inaugural video on the channel for Elder Scrolls Call to Arms. This is a war game by Modiphius, who also do Fallout Wasteland Warfare that we cover on the channel, so I thought I'd try out their other big game, which is obviously largely themed around the video game Skyrim, although they have dabbled a little bit into Elder Scrolls Online, I think, and whether or not they go beyond that in the future, who knows. But it looks a little bit complicated on the table, I'm sure, because of all the cards I've left down. This is just to show what's being used. I'm using the contents of the starter box, which is just the core rulebook, the quest book, and then it also comes with a little kind of mini tutorial for escaping from Helgen, which is the tutorial in the video game, and some of the basic cards. I have the other card packs available for the game as well, though, so there's more treasure, traps, events, and quests than there would otherwise be. And I'm using the miniatures, with only two exceptions, from the Delve starter box, which gives you a Dragonborn that you can just sort of make out here. We'll look at the specifics of the characters in a second. Draugr Overlord, 3 Draugrs with greatswords, and 3 skeleton archers, who are all at the back there. Which gives you enough to play the Delve mode, and that's what we're testing here today. The game comes in 2 flavours, a battle mode, which is PvP essentially, and Delve mode, which is 1 or more players against the AI. So that's what we're trying here. And again, it works incredibly similarly to Wasteland Warfare. There's an AI card that the enemies use that almost looks identical to the Fallout Wasteland Warfare ones. The dice rolling is essentially the same. You have a skill die and dice to influence the skill die result, although in this one they're d6s, so there's less variance, which is good in my opinion. And oh yeah, there's 2 miniatures I'm using from the Imperial starter box. That's the only stuff that isn't in the core set or the Delve core set that's being used here today. We're doing a pre-prepared mission from the quest book, and this is just kind of like a tryout on the channel to see how it does, see how I like the game, see how it flows, and then if it does well, if it's liked, if people want more of it, I have some plans down the line to maybe do something similar to Wasteland Warfare settlement mode, although nothing like that currently exists officially. I think there's a player-made version of a settlement mode for this, but we could do kind of like more bite-sized Adventures of a Dragonborn. Something like that. I'm percolating some ideas, but we have to actually test the game out first, see how it does on the channel, etc. So, let's look at who I'm using, and then we'll go over the specifics for the mission. So in general, for Call to Arms, you're not using as many miniatures as you would probably use in Wasteland Warfare. You usually use 1 or 2 hero-type characters, and a hero character is one who has a full stack card like these 3 do, that are fully customizable with 2 hand slots, a body slot, and 2 quick slots. And then you might have some followers, hirelings, underlings, familiars, etc. And they use cards kind of like these ones the enemies are using, where it's all totally complete, everything is on this attack, defense, etc. And you don't customize them at all. That's the difference. But for this one, I'm taking 3 hero characters. I'm taking the Dragonborn Champion of Skyrim, and this is the updated card because the original box launched with 1 and with skills in the wrong place. I'll be going over all these miniatures and getting stuff painted if you're at all curious. They're equipped with a steel sword, banded iron shield, studded armour, and a potion of minor healing, which is their base setup as suggested at the back of the quest book. I've given them Unrelenting Force, aka Fusroda, because I just want to try the shouts, but they wouldn't normally have that if you're using the set equipment for this. Then we have Hadvar, Hero of Helgen. He is the Imperial who helps you out of the tutorial at the start of Skyrim if you side with the Imperials telling you to get out rather than the Stormcloaks. He's got an Imperial Sword, Imperial Shield, Imperial Armour. And then we have an Imperial Mage who's just kind of like a generic Fire Mage. This is just so we can try out some of the magic mechanics. She's equipped with Flames, which can be used in close combat or long range. That's the one where you hold your hand out and it's a flamethrower from the video game, I believe. Then there's Firebolt, which is kind of like a lesser fireball, ranged only on that one. And she has Imperial Light Armour. So these are full cards, and based on the amount of septims, which is the currency in game, just think of it like points or whatever, that dictates how many enemies you're facing, how many activations the AI gets, and we're dealing with 200 and I think it's 228 if you include the shout that I'm not supposed to have. So that falls into the range of between 100 and 250 septims. That dictates how many victory points we need to get for the mission, how many activations the enemy gets, and so on. So we're going to be doing the second Delve mode scenario called Lair of the Beast in a second. One thing I did forget to cover is just real quick the anatomy of a card. How much HP someone has, how much stamina they have, which can be used to boost attacks or movement, how much magicka they have, what height they are, septim cost, Strength, agility, endurance, intelligence, wisdom, these are the skill check numbers, exactly the same as Wasteland Warfare. And then the skills associated with them. So for instance, the Dragonborn was doing a block or an attack, they would use their strength, so they're looking to roll 5 or under on this, which would have been a fail there, but they get extra dice to throw. For instance, a green die would bring the number down, there we go, and that would make it a hit, because it was -3. So essentially exactly the same as Wasteland Warfare. They credit the creator of Wasteland Warfare at the start of the rulebook, incidentally. So anyway, the Lair of the Beast. There is no turn limit, which is the other reason I picked this one. You go until you're dead, or until you do the thing. There's a puzzle objective in the top left of the map we need to get to, but we're not allowed to interact with it until we have a certain number of victory points. Because of the septum limit we're playing, which is on this other page, we have to get 9 victory points. We get 1 for every enemy killed. If we kill the beast, who is going to be the Draugr Overlord, it gives him some additional benefits, so he's even scarier. He gives us 3 victory points. We can get victory points just for opening chests, of which there's 5 based on the septum limit. I've kind of positioned them around the houses to make it seem like the inhabitants are kind of leaving out tribute to the Draugrs that are raiding their village. Just as a minor kind of story. Then there's what's called oaths in the game. These are optional objectives you can take. If you achieve them, you get the victory points listed. If you fail them, you lose a victory point. I don't think we really need most of these. Move adjacent to the puzzle without spawning the beast. Death from afar, remove the beast with a ranged attack. Possible. I'll take that one. I'll take Death from afar. We'll try and kill the beast with a ranged attack. The beast will not spawn until I cross the centre diagonal line, but we can go over that more once I clear the table out of the way and we get our people deployed. Our deployment window is 6x6 in the bottom right here. There's the bisection. It's when we cross that line, the beast spawns up here. So I've got my intrepid team of 3 heroes deployed down here, 6x6. They're ready to go. And there's a couple of things we do now to start the pre-game. You'll notice that I assigned a number to all the enemies who can potentially take part. The Overlord cannot randomly spawn because he is the beast. He has been given the token number 1. He spawns in, as explained, once I cross that kind of bisection down the middle. But then we have 5, 6, 7 of Draugrs and 2, 3, 4 of skeletons. There's going to be 1 unused marker because there's only 5 treasure chests. I've already randomly selected and put next to the treasure chest because the quest dictates that the enemies start in base to base with where I put the treasure. So for instance, we can flip this. That is a number 3, which means that one of the skeleton archers is guarding this treasure. You can flip this one and see that's a 2. Another skeleton archer guarding that treasure. Who's guarding this one? That's a 7, that's a Draugr. So that's a Draugr right there. And then over here is a 4, so that's the final skeleton. Ergo, we know for sure that if we come around this end of the table, this treasure chest has to be a Draugr. The unused Draugr goes in the spawn pool. End of turn events in this game spawn back the trash mobs, who all mostly have 1 HP each. The Overlord is different. There's Masters and Elites as well. They don't respawn if they die. So they just go in, or he goes into the spawn pool. These tokens are supposed to be used to randomly select. This will be his number 5. Wait, 6. I grabbed the wrong one. Either way, doesn't matter. He stays out though, but the rest go into the spawn pool. That includes if the trash ones die, and you're supposed to use those to randomise, but you could also just roll a die, honestly. The only other thing to do is to quickly take a look at their AI card and then draw a quest for the game. Super similar to Wasteland Warfare. Models in this game could be Path of Might, Shadow or Sorcery. That denotes which column you use, and you roll a black die to see what they do. I think all Draugr and skeletons are, all Draugrs are Might, skeletons are Shadow. So if we were controlling a Draugr, they'd be attacking, A for attack. If it was a skeleton, they'd be moving. Simple as that. And then it tells you their targeting priority and some rules on the back as well. So yeah, you get a quest when you start a delve mode, and there's delve mode quests and battle mode quests, so make sure you don't use the wrong cards. This is another means by which to gain VP, which we need to actually win by getting to the puzzle in the top corner. So I'm going to split the deck, and we'll see if this is actually doable. This is Recover Zephyr. Okay, let me just see here, it's worth 3 victory points. Party must include Catria. Nope, can't do that one. That must be one of the ones from the expansion. I should have filtered those out. Let me see if this one's actually doable. Oh yes, and it's for towns as well. Some of the quests have specific layouts for like only in caves, only in forests. You can kind of like have a little bit of give and take. But anyway, place 3 NPC tokens on the board, no closer than 12 to a player model or 6 to each other. These are beggars. Each of these 3 tokens can be removed if the player flips 1 VP to the spent side while in contact with a beggar token. No other models may interact with them or remove them. Gain 1 VP for each beggar removed this way. So when you get victory points in this game, you can spend 5 of them to level up your character, which means you flip their card over and they get a couple of boosted stats. It's usually like plus 1 HP, maybe stamina or magic if they're magic based, and then 1 to whatever their most important stat is, for the most part. So that wants us to spend it on beggars instead, and we get VP for it. So I will go deploy those. The game comes with some tokens to represent random NPCs, and we can get 1 to 3 VP if we do this. So the game has started, but here is very quickly where I set up the beggars. I've kind of positioned them in a manner of still obeying the rules given outside of 6 each, outside of 12 of one of my people. Kind of being like they're fleeing the village because the Draugrs have moved in. So there's 3 where you can see them, but I can't interact with them yet anyway because I have no victory points to spend on them. I activated Hadvar. If it hasn't been apparent yet, this game doesn't use measuring sticks like Wasteland Warfare does. You just use the measuring tape or ruler, whatever you want. And with the exception of beasts, basically everything moves 6 inches. So I activate Hadvar. He expended 1 stamina to do a sprint, which means you go from 6 inches with an extra 3 to 9. So he ran up 9. And in this game, unlike Wasteland Warfare, you can only do each action type once. You can't move, you can't attack, etc, etc. So he threw up a block, which is what the shield token denotes. It gives him some benefits if he gets attacked. On the note of how the AI works, real quick, since we're about to cross over, in Delve mode you alternate with the AI, same as in Wasteland Warfare. Based on the septum limit, the AI has a limited number of activations. I believe it's 3, because we're playing 200 septums, sorry. However, they have a thing called reactions. If you end a turn entirely within 6 inches of an enemy, like him for instance, although Hadvar's not near enough, they get to activate, assuming they haven't activated already. Which means the AI can get more turns that way, and that's kind of like how it works itself out. I'm not sure if that's better or worse, we'll have to see. Either way though, the AI want to randomly select someone. I'm not going to do that on camera because I need to roll for their AI to see what they do. We'll just cover what they do and go over that. The Draugr down here in the corner was the first to randomly be selected to activate. He got that he wants to attack, as covered by the AI card. Enemies in the AI mode at least are considered to have unlimited stamina to spend, but they're only allowed to use 1 boost a turn. So if they can't get into combat, they'll boost movement. If they can get into combat, they'll boost attack, and so on. So he moved forwards 6 plus the boost to get an extra 3 over here because he's just recklessly charging in. We're using the red markers as activated tokens. If you aren't aware, they do have an unactivated side, but I'm just going to put them on the table when they've activated. Keep track of that. They stand out quite nice. And then he threw up a 2-handed block. A 2-handed block is not as effective as blocking with a shield. We'll cover it when we need to, which is probably in a second, because I think I want to throw a fireball at that Draugr. Alright, I activated the Imperial Mage. I made her boost her movement, and she walked forwards at 9 inches to be with Hadvar here. Good point to cover. That's Hadvar and the Imperial Mage both spend 1 stamina each. Technically you should put that next to them just to keep track, or on their card. But at the top of each turn you restore 1 stamina, 1 magicka, so they're just going to get that back prior to anyone doing anything to them, so I didn't bother marking it. She has 4 magicka in total. I'm having her spend 2 of it on a firebolt, range 12, ranged attack. Magic spells sometimes have skill influence, like if it's a hard spell to cast it will nerf your roll a little bit, or if it's super easy like Flames is, it actually gives you a bonus. This is flat though, doesn't do anything. You roll 1 green die and 2 yellow dice. Yellow dice in this game are damage and block dice. But she has Destruction Mastery, which lets her throw in an extra green. Some spells you can also boost with extra magicka, but not this one. So, we need to check what you're rolling first. 4 destruction spells for her, 4s or less. That's a 5 that comes down by 5, so it's counting as a 1. Sadly, it only did 1 damage though. That's what that denotes. So now he gets to block the damage, and I think he gets to do his 2-handed block, which means we do a skill check to see if he can throw in an extra yellow on top of his normal defense, which is a single yellow. This is a 3 or less, yes. So he's probably not going to die, because he's rolling 2 of these, and they don't have many blanks on them. Yeah, he fully blocked the damage, so I don't think it sets him on fire or anything else like that. Worth noting, if we'd rolled this that has the Dragonborn helmet on it, she would have got a chance to roll an extra red die in, which does a lot of damage. And then the black die is the most damage. But sadly not this time. Draugr number 7 next to that chest there activated. He also wants to just attack because they don't really care much about sitting on objectives. I think you have to roll a 1 in 6 chance to make that happen, and where they care about objectives. So he just boosted his move, ran down here and threw up a 200 block, which I'm now going to challenge, I think, by doing a dragon shout on him. So I moved the Dragonborn up 6 inches. I did totally forget though, I believe you go end to end in this one as if you were using measuring sticks like in Wasteland Warfare. I'm so used to measuring, like, say you're moving 6 inches, you don't go beyond the limit of the tape measure. I think in this game you do, I'm going to need to double check that. Either way though, he's in range, or she actually, this is a female Nord version of the Dragonborn. She is in range to Dragon Shout. Now the other thing I wasn't clear about Dragon Shouts in the rulebook is whether or not you start with full thum, which is what you use to do Dragon Shouts, or if you don't. I read it because you count up for how many points you choose to use, and then it ticks down when you restore stamina and magicka every turn. I presume that means you start with the ability to go full force. So she's doing a full Fusroda, she's doing all 3, which means that she is rolling the skill die, a red die, a green die, and a yellow. Actually, because he's undead, she also gets a yellow thrown in for her special ability, which is called, what is it called? Banish the Wicked. Against Daedra undead and someone else. She gets an extra die in. And this is a strength test on a thum, so this is 5s. And that's a hit for 3 damage. Does the swords do anything? It does not. And the way this works is he would be pushed back a base 2 inches plus 1 inch for every damage dealt. His armour, oh, we have to see if he 2-hand blocks it. He does not, so it's a single yellow die for defense. He blocks 1, takes 2, they have 1 health. So he gets Fusrodad over here, he ragdolls, he bounces into the air once or twice, and then he dies. Such is my experience with the game anyway. So that gives us 1 victory point for taking out an enemy. 1 of the 9 we need to get the puzzle way at the top of the table over there. No one's crossed the line yet to spawn the beast, so now the AI will just get to activate. The skeletons are much more likely to either stay still or hide, so I might do a few of those as one activation together. But more importantly, that 1 VP that we got, I can spend it on one of those beggars to get another VP next turn. Well, of the 3 skellies left to activate, the first one went and rolled a Oblivion Gate symbol, which means it wants to attack even though it's Path of Shadow, which is, I don't think happens often. I'm pretty sure that's a 1 in 6 chance as well. So he moves 6 inches down here, and he is within long range, because weapons like in Fallout Wasteland Warfare, they have a short range and a long range. He can reach the Dragonborn, so he's going to fire an arrow at her. And for ranged attacks, you can only boost to make it more accurate. You get bonuses if you sneak attack, but that's a whole different thing. For melee attacks, you can choose to be more accurate or more powerful, i.e. another green die or another yellow die, if you have the stamina to spend. So he's spending on a green to make it more accurate. At long range he's rolling 2 yellows. His skill is only a 3 though. He went and hit it, of course he did. For 3 damage, does the Dragonborn symbol do anything? It has piercing 1, so it ignores 1 of my armour. That's not good. The Dragonborn's armour, I didn't throw up a block, so... Ah yeah, this is something, I played a little test game with digitally with someone to try and get used to this. This game has super armour, like Fallout Wasteland Warfare, and it's like numbers after it, but some of them are red and some of them are black. Does red mean it's a negative, or does it just some of the cards were printed like that and some weren't? I'm going to assume it's meant to be like that, so this is this plus 1, but then the piercing ignores that, so we just get the plus 1. So the Dragonborn takes 2 damage. Good job, she has that that potion that she can use as a free action, but yeah, that's 2 damage of her 5 health, just like that. So I did actually just carry out an action with this skeleton here in the centre frame, but I moved him back because I realised, oh hang on a minute, 3 enemies have activated, and that's how many get to activate because of the septum limit of my team being between 200 and 300 septums, I think. Denotes that only 3 activations can happen. I did forget to mention, but the beast always gets to activate regardless of anything else happening if he was on the table, which he is not yet. So that skeleton and that skeleton, they don't get to act because none of my people stop within 6 of them, so they don't get to do a reaction, and other enemies go randomly selected. So that's the end of the first turn, but we have to do an event phase again, much like Wasteland Warfare, and that also denotes a certain number of respawns. Now currently the spawn pool is just the Draugr I killed, and the Draugr that didn't get deployed at deployment. So here is the Delve event deck. Again, there is a battle mode event deck and a Delve one. Make sure you're using the right one for the mode you're playing. And there's some extra cards thrown in here from the card pack. So some of them might not be relevant. They should hopefully be, but if we get one that isn't relevant, we'll just draw another one. The Golden Claw. This is a quest from the game. This is a special quest for the Golden Claw. Quest item: be in possession of the Golden Claw when the game ends. I don't think we can have this because we didn't put the Golden Claw in the treasure deck, so let's just draw another one. Let's try this one. That looks simple enough. It's meant to be in that dungeon, I think, but no, that's just stealth mode. Draw one stage 1 quest card. You may immediately choose to discard your current quest and keep the new one, or vice versa. I won't bother drawing a new quest card because I really like the beggar's one for the mission because it should be pretty easy to do, so it doesn't matter what the other option is. This beggar one will work for us. Now that denotes that there is one respawn. It doesn't really matter, there's no point randomizing between two literally identical Draugr. They come on as far away from your team as possible in this scenario, I believe, which means it'll spawn up in the top corner, but I'll show that at the top of turn 2. So our new adversary is spawned in at the top of the table there, and because I went first in turn 1, turn 2 I believe the adversaries just get to go first. I think it alternates. I saw conflicting stuff about that online. Some people played it the alternate, some rolled for it. I think alternating is probably fairest. Either way, the skeleton that didn't get to activate was randomly selected. He wants to move, so he moved over here where nobody can draw a line of sight to him, so he can just automatically go into hidden status. That's what the eyeball means. It means he'll get a bonus if he shoots out of hidden, and it also means I need to detect him if I want to actually be able to attack him. So I'm activating the Imperial Mage first. She moved into base to base with this beggar, and she is flipping the one victory point I have so far to remove this beggar, get the Gift of Charity. It means I can't spend it to level up. We still keep it, just to be clear, we still have one victory point, and now we have another one as well, which can be spent for getting rid of that beggar. She should have one magicka used when this turn starts, because she started with 4, she used 2 last turn, she regenerated 1. She's spending a total of another 2 right now, which is why that's there now. I should keep track of these things. She's going to use flames because it's 6 inches on that Draugr. Worth knowing, if after her turn is over that Draugr ain't dead, he gets to react, which means he'll do a full activation and it doesn't count towards the adversary's turn limit for the turn. So, skill die plus a yellow die is flames at normal. She is a destruction master for green, and she can boost it up to potential 2 more times to put in yellow dice. So I'll boost it 1 more time. She just needs to beat his defense and then do 1 damage. So this is a 4, and it comes down to a 2, so absolutely hits for 3. I believe she gets the red die thrown in on this one as well. Actually no, this one doesn't do extra damage, that's its downside. So it just comes down to the Draugr's 1 yellow defense. It literally can't block enough because at most you can block 2 on this. Nope. Oh, actually, the helmet could do something. Let's double check. Draugr. Nope, just yellow. So he is dead. So that means there'll be no reaction from him. He's back into the spawn pool because he's just a trash mob with 1 health. And we get another victory point. So she did really well there. The second of the 3 activations the adversary/AI get was the Draugr that respawned with that end of turn event card. And he's very far back. He wants to be aggressive and attack. So he moved up, spent stamina to run a total of 9. I activated Hadvar and made him boost with stamina to run 9 inches over into base to base with this beggar. I've also started tracking it because we should do things properly as best we can from the off. So that's him use 1 stamina. He regenerated the one he used in turn 1 and he'll regenerate that as well. And I had him throw up a block again as his other action because he can't really attack. And we're spending a victory point to gift to this beggar some money, which in turn generates us another one. So we're up to 4 in total of the 9 we have to have before I'm allowed to interact with the puzzle. And we haven't crossed that diagonal line yet, so the beast hasn't spawned, which is what I'm working with. I'm trying to come around the house this way, and then we'll all kind of push in together. That will also mean we can try out the treasure mechanics as well. The adversaries have 1 more activation, barring any reaction activations, so one of those 2 skeletons is going to come shoot me. So the skeleton I did not want to activate, of course, was the one to activate. I also definitely should have activated the Dragonborn before Hadvar. I was not thinking. So the one down here wants to be aggressive. I moved him into cover just because that seemed like the most logical thing to do before taking a shot, because you can't fire twice, at the Dragonborn. Still long range because he's outside of 8, and he is boosting his accuracy with their unlimited stamina. So this is what he's rolling. If he was hitting from hidden, I think he'd get a red die on top of this. It's ridiculous. It's 3s, so that's a 4 comes down to 2. Was it 3s? Yeah, it was 3s. So that's only 2 damage. Not too bad. We get a yellow die plus 1. So we only blocked 1, we took another 1. Okay, that's fine. So we're up to 3 damage on the Dragonborn. I am going to go activate him now. That's the last adversary activation, barring any reactions. I'm going to immediately use as a free action their potion, so just I'm going to do it on camera now to show that I'm not fudging the roll or anything. 1 use, free action, restore yellow health points. So he's at 3 damage. He's now at 1 damage. That's not so, or she, sorry. That's not so bad. So I expended 1 stamina with the Dragonborn to run 9 over here after this skeleton. I also looked out the card you're supposed to use to track your thumbs, aka dragon shouts. I'm pretty sure it starts on 0 and then it spends up and ticks down 1 per turn. So it was on 0, I spent 3, and then at the top of this turn it would be at 2. So I think I only have room to do a tier 1 dragon shout, which is what I'm going to do, but if this is wrong I do apologise. So he's moved up as his first action. His second action is a thum, a tier 1, he's just doing a fus, which is a green plus a yellow, although he gets an extra yellow because he's attacking an undead. It's a strength test, so it's 5s. And he got it. Does the symbol do anything? No, it would push him back, but this is going to definitely kill him. Their armour is just yellow. Well, again, no point rolling because we've done enough. So that Skelly Man is Deady Man. So he is gone. That gives us another victory point. So that would mean we're up to 5 victory points. Had we not had to spend any on that villager or beggar quest, we could then have spent 5 to level up, although it pays to wait because you get fully healed when you level. And you just flip your card as previously explained. But because we had to spend on the beggars and we have to spend 1 more as well, we're not going to be leveling up just yet, but still. There's no more activations for the enemy because they've used up all their actual activations, so we're just going straight to the event and that's the turn over. Alright, let's see what is going to apply. Again, we'll re-roll if it's something I don't understand. Blessing of Talos. Roll the red die, distribute that many Thum points amongst any of your models with a Thum card not currently at maximum level. Perfect. We also only respawn 1 enemy. Currently in the spawn pool is 2 Draugrs and a Skelly Man. We'll see who is back at the top of turn 3. But let's quickly do that roll there. So let's see if we can get all his Thum back, or all her Thum back. 2. So she is maxed out, it'll go down. So she has room for a tier 2 shout. Actually no, when it rolls over she gets 1 more back. So yeah, she's back to full. Perfect. I've got priority in turn 3, so I have moved the Dragonborn up 6, so that she is within 6 of the hidden skeleton that is actually hidden behind that building there. So to do the tech test you have to do an int test, and her int is not good, it's 3. But because he is within 6, I get a green die thrown in. If I can't see him, we can't do what I want to do and we'll do something else. That comes down to 2, we can see him. Thanks to having our Thum recharged, I'm going to do a full Fusro die to hopefully batter him into the wall and murder him. So that is a full this, and we're looking for 5s. Yep, that is 2 damage. The Oblivion symbol doesn't do anything. Oh, would have been an extra yellow for him being undead, so that's an extra damage. And then his block, nothing. So the skeleton gets battered into the wall and just breaks into 1,000 pieces. That is 1 more in the victory point pool. We're at 6 of the 9 we require. So I did forget to mention a skeleton came in on the edge of the table there, but it was the other skeleton that has been surviving next to the chest over here that was randomly selected to activate, and he wanted to fall back, which didn't make much sense. And then this has that rule that Wasteland Warfare does where, you know, if the AI is going to do something completely stupid, you can intervene and make it do something more sensible. So I made him hide back out of line of sight instead of falling back, so that he can't be seen really from this side. And he activated a hide as a result, or the hidden status. I activated the Imperial Mage. She boosted her movement to run up to here. She is right in the line of where the beast would spawn. I think Hadvar is going to make it spawn though, once he activates. But she is expending 1 victory point and getting 1 back for giving the gift to the beggar. That also completes that quest. So I think technically this might be the point at which those victory points pay out. But either way, that is another 1. So we're at 7 of the 9 we need. The most recently respawned skeleton's the last activation for the adversaries this turn. Wanted to move, so just moved up and hid, because no one can see him when he's behind the house, like that. So now Hadvar is going to go, and I think the beast is going to spawn. I think he's going to cross the line to try and get to that chest so we can see how chests work. The beast always gets an activation. I'll need to read if that applies right now, and then we'll be back. So even with a boosted move, Hadvar could not get into base to base with the chest, but I am going to counter that he's crossed that middle line. The beast spawns in contact with the puzzle door out of here, up there, and it says he gets an activation on top of however many adversaries would activate in subsequent rounds, so I believe that means he doesn't do anything right now. And I haven't assigned a number to him because he can't respawn anyway, so there's no real need. You just randomly select him. So with that, we're into the event. So I think we're also finally at the point where any respawns will be back down towards where we started, because we're getting closer to the puzzle door. Let's see, this is our event. Hostiles. That's perfect, we're in a village. Requirement, NPC tokens in play. Ah, there's no beggars left in play, so we can't do this one. If there's no NPC tokens in play when this event is drawn, draw another card. Oh, that's a shame. It had a lot of text though, so maybe it's for the best. Ancient Riddles. Place a puzzle objective token on the gaming area no closer than 8 to any player controlled model if possible. Place as far away as possible otherwise. So that's just an objective token, that's another opportunity with which to get victory points. This mission by default does not use objectives, but presumably this still lets you put one down. So I will, and one enemy will be randomly selected from the pool of 2 Draugrs, 1 skeleton. So because the Dragonborn is almost towards the centre of the table, where enemies pop in is a little odd, but I decided to make it pop in right back down where we started. It seems like the fairest way to do it so that we're not constantly swamped by the objective. But it was the enemies to go, and the skeleton that had been hiding behind the corner there activated. He wants to attack, so he's coming round and he's shooting. If you're shooting from hidden, you actually only get a yellow die, unless you are a hero in the Path of Shadow, in which case you get a red. They are Path of Shadow, but they're not a hero. They're just a bog standard follower or whatever. So they're rolling 3 yellow dice though at long range. So it could still hurt quite... Oh, they would also aim their shot. So it's actually a green thrown in as well. This could hurt the Dragonborn quite a bit. Yeah, they're hitting. Oh dear, they are hitting. Let's see. Does the... Yeah, it's piercing 1 as well. Oof, ouch, my bones. So that's 3 damage with piercing 1. Multiples of the same token don't matter, or the same symbol. If you have multiple activations on multiple symbols, you have to pick which one you use. You can only ever have 1. So 3 damage with piercing 1 against this plus 1. So that immediately goes away to the piercing. We have super armor to remove 1 though, so the Dragonborn takes 2 more damage, and that's 3. Oh, and then we have to do a skill test to see if it remains hidden. That's a crit, so yes it does. So for my first activation, I moved the Imperial Mage because I want her to regenerate her magicka so she can hit the Overlord really hard in theory. She is going into base to base with the chest though, so her other action is going to be to interact with it. So it's locked. This means you can take a strength test -2 or a lockpick test -2 to try and open this chest. It can also just be a blank token, which would mean it's open. Now let's see, I imagine strength is not her forte. Let's see. You know, she doesn't even have the lockpick skill, so she's going to have to strength it, so it's 3s or 1s after you apply the negative. That would be a crit fail. I believe that means she gets a trap card as well. I'm not actually sure if you have to successfully unlock it. Presumably not, although in the game you do have to. Let's just take a trap card and apply it, just so we can see what it does. Flamethrower trap. Apply the following damage to the target model. 2 yellow dice and fire. Well, that is 2 damage versus her Imperial Armor, which is a red die. Pretty good. She fully blocked it, which I believe means the fire does not apply. If that's wrong, apologies. Next activation for the AI/adversaries was the recently respawned Draugr. He boosted his movement and just charged in, heading back up towards where the Dragonborn is. I made Hadvar take a boosted move up. He didn't fully go the 9 inches though, because I wanted to make sure he was outside of 6 of that skeleton to not give them a free turn. And he threw up a block once again. So other than the beast, although he has been getting included in the random chance, there's one more activation. If it's not the beast, that means he will activate next after whoever activates for sure. Well, the final non-beast activation is the other Draugr on the table, and he aggressively attacked or charged Hadvar, boosting his movement, not enough to get into base to base or attack him though, so he threw up a block. So now it's back over to the Dragonborn for me, and barring any reactions, it's then over to the beast. Well, I moved up with her to within 6 of that skeleton who's already activated, and I'm going to try and foos them on the assumption that I can detect them. 3s. Yep, okay, we can see them, and we only have 1 thumb, so it's a tier 1, green, yellow, extra yellow because it's against an undead. 5s. That is a crit fail. It would have done 0 damage anyway. I really needed that to land, because if that skeleton had died, we would have had 5 unused victory points, so I could have leveled the Dragonborn to healer. So over to the beast. Well, the beast just wanted to move in, so boosted movement, ran up and threw up a block. He does have ranged attack. He has a Fus Roda of his own, like you'll know if you play the video games, but no one is in range. And I get first activation next round, which might be very important for the Dragonborn's survival. The thing that is different about the model you select to be the beast, which is just the highest septum enemy on the table, he's scary enough as is, honestly. He rolls a red and a yellow for his basic ranged attack, and green, yellow, yellow for close range. He gets a yellow on top of that. Although this game does have a cutoff, unlike Wasteland Warfare, you can never roll more than 3 of the same coloured die. And time for an event plus respawns. They'll appear back down where we started. Hunter and hunted is meant to be for a forest. We're not in a forest. I'll re-roll that. Ah, village. We can do this. Shadow marks. Choose one piece of scenery no closer than 8 to any of your models. If possible, place it as far away as possible. Place the treasure token at random within that scenery piece or in contact with it. Okay, I can do that. The closest scenery, I guess it would be the back end of this house, like down here, shall put it. And 2 enemies are respawning from the pool. That'll be the Draugr and the skeleton, because that's the only things in it. So turn 5, I'm charging the Dragonborn into that skeleton. I need to kill him so I can get my level off of him. The steel sword he's using is green plus 2 yellow, extra yellow thrown in because he's attacking an undead. And I'm spending 1 stamina for a precision strike to get some more chance of landing the hit. Basically, if it isn't a fumble, we'll hit it. In theory, 6 comes down by 4, hits for 2 damage. Oh, I moved that, but that was a 6. The helmet restores 1 stamina, which won't matter if I level up anyway. So I detected the skeleton last turn instantly, which is why it's not detected right now. He blocks 1, takes 1, and dies. So that gives us another victory point, and I'm immediately spending 5 of them to level up the Dragonborn. So we flip the card over, our stats get a bit better. HP stays the same. She gets plus 1 stamina, plus 2 magicka, and her strength goes up by 1, which is the important one, because that increases her chance to hit. Well, this Draugr activated here and has charged into Hadvar, dropping his block to do so, and is going to attack. Incidentally, I'd made the Dragonborn stop outside of 6 of anyone, that's why there was no beast or skeleton there activations, he's just outside of them. So the Draugr is rolling yellow plus black, or sorry, is it black plus green? Either way, let me double check. I'm going to have to double check now because I've confused myself. Draugrs, it's green plus black, the yellow is coming from doing a power attack, because they're aggressive, so I figured he would do that over trying to make a hit. They don't have a great chance to hit, it's on 3s, shouldn't say that before rolling. That's a 6, it comes down by 2, so he does miss, which is just as well, because that would have been 4 damage. Well, I'm going to activate Hadvar, who is currently outside of 6 of anyone else, to try and smack back. There is a shield bash mechanic I don't fully understand, so I'm just going to have him drop his block and swing his sword. You might as well throw in... Yeah, let's throw in a stamina point to do a precision attack. Give it an increased chance to hit. He is on 4s. 4s? Yep, 4s. 7 comes down by 4, so that's a hit for 2 damage versus 1 yellow die of defense. He gets him, and that means we now have enough for the puzzle door. So we don't need to kill the beast, we just need to get to that and solve it. So, as long as I distract him with the Dragonborn, the Imperial Mage might be able to run up. Hadvar has another action though. If I move him near that archer, he's going to get... I can make him burn another point of stamina and charge into it, because then the skeleton would have to fall back. Oh no, I can't see it though because it's hidden. I'm going to have him... I'll move him between takes, but I'm going to have him come around this side of the house, staying outside of 6. That probably means he won't be able to get into base to base with the chest, but even if he does, he can't activate it this turn anyway. Only the Dragonborn can do that for free. The Draugr down here leading the charge of the reinforcements, who are down here on the corner. Moved, just boosted his movement, moved up 9 here. I guess he should have thrown up a block as well, hang on. A 2-handed block, not as good as a normal block, but either way. So that's the second of their 3 activations, plus potentially the beast if he's not the one randomly selected. But it's over to my Imperial Mage now. Alright, boosted moved as the Imperial Mage to get within 6 of his hidden skelly. And I want to see him, because he's within 6, that's why we get that. So that is a crit success, and that little potion means that we can restore one of our lost reserves. So I am about to spend 2 MP, but I hadn't at that point, so we can only really get that back. She's not missing any HP. And then we're doing a firebolt into the skeleton. The extra green die is from Destruction Mastery, everything else is as standard. And that is definitely a hit for 3, and skeleton can't block this, at most can block 2, takes 1, and is down. That's us up to 10 VP, not that it really matters because we have the minimum needed. And that also means he won't be reacting. So there is still one more activation for the adversaries though. It could be one of them down on the end of the table, down on the left there, or it could just be the beast. The Draugr at the back here activated, ran up, boosting his move, and that does mean the beast now gets to go to end off the turn. So staying out of 6 inches is hopefully working in my favour here, because he had to boost his move to get into base to base with the Dragonborn, and now he's swinging at her. Normal physical attack for the Overlord is green plus 2 yellow. The extra yellow is thrown in because he is the beast. 5s. Yep, that's a hit. 5 damage. 5 damage, huh? Okay, well, we'll just, it's this plus 1. Nope, so we just blocked the 1. 4, thank goodness we leveled the Dragonborn, so they're back to, well, they have 1 health remaining, so that's good, and that's the end of the turn. So, what event carries us over to turn 6? So, I think I can just rush the puzzle objective with the mage. The Golden Claw again, no. Lights out, we're not in a cave, so I can't really do that one. This one's fine. Blessings of Arcade. In fact, I know what this one is, because it heals. Roll red and distribute that many health points amongst your wounded models. We have only 1 wounded model. How many health will he be restoring? 1. So he's got 2 left. Not bad. Well, turn 6 means the adversaries are going first, and would you believe it, the Overlord was the one who randomised to go first. The worst possible result. He can't roll any more than 3 yellow dice, so I presume he's allowed to boost his chance to hit. Not that he needs it very much, but hey. Oh, and he crits. You know what crit means? We haven't seen one of these yet. You roll an extra black die of damage. So that's quite scary. What, does his sword do anything else? Yeah, punishing. I don't know what punishing does, but it's probably not going to matter because we're about to die. Yeah, so we blocked 1, we took 4, yeah, the Dragonborn. Oh, actually, they're a hero. So what happens when they die is they have a chance to not die. I'm going to have to look that up. Alright, I have the book here. When a hero or adversary master is reduced to less than 1, it's not necessarily killed. Set it to 1 and then take an endurance test. However, that punishing afflicts a -1 modifier, or +1 modifier I guess, to the result. And because I was overkilled, it did more than double my remaining health to me, it's a -2. So that's a total of a -3 to their endurance stat, which lowers the endurance of the Dragonborn down to 2. So let's see what happens, I guess. That's a crit fail anyway, which I believe just means they just die. If you pass the roll, depending on how good you pass the roll, you either just kind of lose an action and can't do boosts, or you just can't, you miss a turn instead. But I'm pretty sure an X is just dead. Yeah. That's okay. She fought hard, and now she's dead. So of my 2 surviving heroes, I activated the Imperial Mage and had them rush up towards the puzzle marker. She will make it next turn, so the next turn will be the last one for sure. We will play out, I get first activation next turn, so we can play that out and we'll play it the rest of the turn just for fun, see what Hadvar can do to the Overlord. But even if you fail the test on the puzzle objective type, which is what that is, you still open it and succeed and get 3 victory points, if you were playing a mode that needed more. There is a chance though, if you crit fail, you draw a trap card, or if you fail the test, sorry, you draw a trap card, and I guess that could feasibly kill her, so we'll do that for fun as well, just to see. But none of these guys down here can reach Hadvar, so it doesn't really matter which one of them activates. So I'm just going to skip to Hadvar's turn, see what he can do to the Overlord. I made the Overlord throw up a block instantly, but in hindsight, he's aggressive, so he probably would have charged Hadvar. So we can just go straight to his roll instead for fun. And just to see if he can scratch him, because the Overlord is very, very tough, especially when he's the beast. Alright, so I'm going to make Hadvar boost his attack with a power attack instead of trying to make it have a higher chance of hitting. This is purely just to hopefully show off this mechanic. It makes you add a yellow die for 1, but if damage goes through, I believe you stagger them, which just means they can't boost. So it's a way to try and stop them boosting back at you, and it's good against adversaries. So let's see, he doesn't have Imperial Luck, does he? No. Actually, you know what? The Imperial Mage does, so we literally don't need to roll a skill die, because Imperial Luck is a once per game where you just presume the skill die is a success and you roll any additional dice. She can do that on the puzzle door and win for sure. So we can call this the last turn. I'm going to draw a trap card just to see what would happen. Anyway, 8 comes down to 6. Not good enough. He misses. On the off chance, let's just pretend it hit. I'm curious how much damage this would do. So does the helmet mean anything? Yes, piercing 1. The Overlord defense is, without a shield up, is 2 yellow, 1 super armor. So 3 damage, and he gets an extra yellow for being the beast. So he blocks 4 in total, so he took no damage. But yeah, I totally forgot Imperial Luck, so I hadn't used it. I was saving it for a spell to use on the Overlord slash Beast there, to try and kill him and get that death from afar. Not that we needed it, really. But yeah, the next turn rolls around, she walks into that. Imperial Luck just means it passes. But let's see if a trap would have killed her anyway, because that would have been a hilarious way to die. It's like that video from Oblivion, if anyone's seen it, where a guy gets splatted by a wall trap, and then a guard comes along and says, oh no, this is terrible, how did this happen? He goes to examine the body, and the exact same trap triggers and kills him. Bone alarm trap, it would have triggered an activation, so wouldn't have hurt. So yeah, that's going to do it. So hopefully most of that was done as close to correct as is possible. It's not quite as complicated as Wasteland Warfare, but it's pretty close. So let me know what you thought of Call to Arms and if you would like to see more. I'm in the kind of learning phase for it, so I'd probably want to do another couple of like just standalones from the Delve book, but then going forwards, if it's popular, working out some kind of like mini adventure that can be linked. We don't really need anything upgraded, but we can have a Dragonborn character that we all agree on, have them just go on little adventures, run into Stormcloaks, run into Imperials, run into stuff other than just Draugrs and skeletons, the wildlife in Tamriel that is out to murder you. They just go on little adventures like that and kind of judge based on that where to take things if people want to see more. So on that note, do let me know. And if you would like to support the channel and also more Call to Arms, consider becoming a member, pressing that thanks button, or checking out the Patreon. Thank you very much for giving it a chance though either way, and see you the next time for something else. Until then, ta-ta for now.